It was supposed to be a special day, a birthday celebration for the woman I loved. I had everything planned, the decorations, the food, the perfect gift. But nothing could have prepared me for the shock of what happened when I handed her the gift, a broom. What seemed like a harmless joke turned into the most painful moment of my life. What I didn't know was that this party would reveal everything I had been blind to. It was my girlfriend's birthday, and I wanted to make it special. I had been planning for weeks, making sure every detail was perfect. The decorations were set, the food prepared, and I thought I had picked the perfect gift for her, something meaningful that would show how much I cared. I wanted this day to be one she would always remember. As the evening approached, everything seemed to fall into place. The room was full of our friends, the atmosphere light with laughter, and the excitement in her eyes made all the effort feel worthwhile. She was in a good mood, chatting with our friends, and I could tell she was genuinely happy. I had done everything I could to make sure she had the best time. When the moment came for her to open her gift, everyone gathered around, and I eagerly watched her face as she tore off the wrapping paper. But as she looked at the gift, a carefully chosen necklace, I noticed something odd. Her smile faltered, just for a second. She didn't say anything, but the silence between us was heavy. I tried to shake it off, thinking maybe I was imagining things, but the feeling lingered. As the night went on, I began to notice small things that didn't quite add up. The way she was acting, the distracted conversations, the moments when she seemed to pull away. It wasn't until later that I learned the truth. She had been seeing someone else. The party that was supposed to celebrate our love had unknowingly marked the end of it. I couldn't believe how everything had unraveled so quietly, without me ever seeing the signs. It was a harsh realization, one that left me reeling, but it taught me a painful lesson about trust and expectations. When it was time for presents, I handed her the gift, an elegant broom. It was meant to be a light-hearted joke, something we could laugh about together. We had joked about her being a perfectionist around the house, always cleaning and organizing everything in sight, so I thought it would be funny. I imagined her reaction, a burst of laughter, a playful comment about how I knew her too well. But as she opened it, something unexpected happened. The room, once full of chatter and laughter, grew strangely quiet. Her smile faded just for a second, and in that brief moment, a wave of unease swept over me. I froze, unsure of what I had done. Was she hurt? Was the joke not as funny as I thought? The silence was suffocating, and I could feel the weight of everyone's eyes on us. I tried to brush it off, assuming she would laugh it off like she always did with our inside jokes. But instead, she paused, holding the broom in her hands like it was a foreign object. The unease only grew. She didn't say anything at first, just gave a stiff smile and set the broom aside. I tried to salvage the moment, offering a half-hearted laugh, but it didn't land. The mood shifted, and I could tell something wasn't right. What I thought was a harmless joke now felt like it had opened a door to something I wasn't prepared for. The rest of the evening passed in a haze with my thoughts spinning. The unease lingered, but I couldn't quite put my finger on what had shifted. It wasn't until later that I began to realize. Sometimes humor masks deeper feelings, and I had misread everything. To my surprise, she didn't laugh. Instead, she looked at the broom for a moment, then at me. Her expression changed in an instant, and I could tell something was wrong. It was as if the light-hearted moment we had shared earlier had suddenly evaporated, leaving behind an unspoken tension. She turned to the guests, her eyes scanning the room, almost as if looking for something or someone before she finally spoke. "This gift, it's not what I needed," she said, her voice trembling. The words hit me like a cold wave. The room fell completely silent. I could feel every pair of eyes in the room shift between her and me, the atmosphere turning heavy. My heart began to race as I tried to process what was happening. What did she mean? Was it the gift? The joke? I had thought it was funny, something to make everyone laugh. But her reaction told a completely different story. The tension in the air was thick, and I could feel my own anxiety rising. I searched her face for any sign of what was going on, but it only made things worse. Her expression was unreadable, almost distant. Had I upset her in some way? Had I misjudged everything about our relationship? The confusion clouded my thoughts. Have you ever been blindsided by a moment that changed everything in your life? A gift, a comment, a simple act that revealed a betrayal? Let me know in the comments if you've had a moment where everything turned upside down. Let's talk about how we deal with the unexpected turns life throws at us. I tried to speak, to find a way to lighten the mood, but no words came. The weight of the moment pressed down on me, and I knew things had changed in an instant. This wasn't how I imagined the night would go. Then to everyone's shock, she stood up and began to speak about something I had never expected. The room seemed to freeze as she took a deep breath, her hands shaking slightly. "I need to be honest," she said, her voice surprisingly steady. "I've been seeing someone else for the past 6 months." My heart dropped into my stomach and my breath caught in my chest. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. It was as if the ground beneath me had just disappeared. The words she spoke felt like a punch, each one landing harder than the last. The man she had been seeing, the one I hadn't even known existed, was standing in the corner of the room, his eyes fixed on the floor. He was there, at the party, watching this unravel in real time. I looked back at her, my mind racing, trying to process what she was saying. "I've been planning to leave you for him," she continued, her voice barely a whisper now. "This whole time, I've been hiding it. The broom, it's a symbol. I've been sweeping everything under the rug, pretending everything was fine when it wasn't." The room was silent, as if no one knew how to respond to what had just been revealed. I was numb, unable to find the words to react. All the plans, the decorations, the hope I had put into making this day special, all of it felt like a distant memory now. It was as if the world around me had shifted, and I was just standing there stunned, watching it all collapse. I was stunned, frozen in place. All the plans, the effort, the love I had poured into this relationship, it was all a lie. Every thoughtful detail I had arranged for her birthday, every moment I thought we were building something together, now seemed meaningless. She had been hiding her affair all along, and I had never seen the signs. The room around me felt like it was spinning, but I couldn't look away from her, from the man she had chosen over me. The weight of her confession pressed down on me like a suffocating cloud. As the room filled with murmurs and whispers, I felt humiliated and betrayed. The party, once full of laughter and joy, had turned into something else entirely. I looked around, but no one seemed to know how to react. Some people avoided eye contact, others tried to pretend they hadn't heard. But I couldn't shake the feeling that they were all silently judging me, watching me unravel. I couldn't understand how she could do this to me, how the woman I had trusted could turn everything upside down with just a few words. I stood there, trying to piece everything together in my mind, but nothing made sense anymore. The life I thought we had, the future I had imagined, none of it was real. All I could feel was the deep, gnawing ache of betrayal. Without thinking, I turned and walked out of the room, leaving the party, leaving her, leaving it all behind. It was over. After that night, I had to rebuild my life. It wasn't easy, and for a long time, the pain lingered like a shadow, following me through every moment. But slowly as the days passed, the hurt began to fade, and I started to see the truth more clearly. She had never been the person I thought she was. The woman I had trusted, loved, and believed in had betrayed me in a way I couldn't have imagined. Accepting that betrayal was one of the hardest things I've ever done, but it was also a wake-up call. That moment, that birthday party, had forced me to face reality. It was the catalyst for change, the point where I stopped letting someone else define my happiness. I learned to trust myself again and to believe that I had the strength to move forward on my own. I realized I didn't need her to complete me, and I certainly didn't need her to validate my worth. The pain of her leaving was difficult, but it pushed me to take control of my life in a way I had never done before. I'll never forget that night. It was the moment everything changed. It was the end of one chapter, but also the beginning of something new. Looking back, I can honestly say it was the best thing that ever happened to me. It forced me to grow, to become stronger, and to reclaim the life I deserved. That birthday party marked the end of one chapter and the beginning of another. The betrayal hurt more than I ever expected, but it taught me something important. I'm stronger than I thought, and I deserve honesty. Thanks for following my story. Remember, even in the darkest moments, we find the strength to move forward.